Hey everyone, this is my Here I Stand project. I just want everyone to close their eyes for a few seconds and think about what a typical evening would look like for you. Whether you're coming home from classes, um, or maybe from work, and you're back in your apartment, or your dorm, or maybe your parents' house. I don't know where everyone lives. I live at my parents' house just because it's easier for me, and I can. Anyway, anyway, maybe you're eating some Whataburger, or you're preparing for a quiz, or maybe you're just studying just for the fun of it. And before you know it, you're deep in the TikTok rabbit hole, or you're scrolling relentlessly and endlessly on Instagram. Doom scrolling, I think they call it. Hours pass, and suddenly you're feeling restless, inadequate, or just off, really. That feeling isn't random, it's something millions of us are experiencing. As a college student myself, I have found myself in those moments in comparison to everyone else's perfect life. I see people driving fancy cars, or maybe they're just living the life I wish I could have had. Um, it makes downtime feel impossible. In my Here I Stand presentation, I'm taking a clear position. Social media platforms do far more harm than good to mental health, especially for young people like us, teenagers and young adults. They have addictive designs and constant comparison. Profit-driven algorithms are fueling a real crisis. We need urgent changes. Stricter age verifications, limits on addictive features, and better content moderation, I would say, for sure. To put our well-being first. Now, I can't just say that and not have evidence to back it up, because there's no point in me doing that. But I have evidence, because this evidence, it grows stronger every year. Right? Let's start with the numbers. The Pew's Research Center 2025 survey of U.S. teens found that 40% now say social media has a mostly negative effect on people their age. That's a big jump from 32% in 2022. Only 14 see it as a mostly negative for themselves personally, but the perception that it's hurting peers is rising fast. About 1 in 5 teens, 19%, report that social media directly hurts their mental health, and 45% say they spend too much time on it, up from 36% a few years ago. Parents are even more concerned. 44% in the same survey picked social media as the single biggest negative influence on a teen's mental health. Think about that, right? There's a lot of things that go into our lives day in, day out. Whether it's social media, it's you're in school, or you just basic things that you see around the world, right? Social media can gather all of that into one and make it so much harder to get out of. Health authorities agree that with the previous statement. The U.S. Surgeon General ongoing advisories highlight that a heavy use of 3 hours or more a day roughly doubles the risk of depression, anxiety, and other issues. A 2025 study from the UC San Francisco tracked preteens and found depressive symptoms rose 35% as daily social media use increased from just 7 minutes to over an hour over 3 years. Another 2025 JAMA Network study shows within person increases social media time during early adolescence led to high depressive symptoms a year later. No reverse causation, meaning depression didn't just cause more use caused more depression or more symptoms. Psychologist Jonathan Haidt in The Anxious Generation in his 2026 research updates points to population level changes. Since smartphones and platforms like Instagram exploded around 2010 to 2012, anxiety rates in some youth groups rose 134%. Depression spiked, self-harm and suicide ideation climbed sharply. He ties this to how platforms exploit our brains. Dopamine hits from likes, endless comparisons, cyberbullying, and sleep disruptions from late-night scrolling. Internal research from companies like Meta have even admitted harms, like worsening body image for 1 in 3 teen girls. I was supposed to have a poster. Our printer isn't working. That's on me. On a personal level, in the flow of Texas college life, taking long drives between classes, group projects, and trying to stay connected with my family here. Even though I live with them, I rarely see them because of work. I can see how it creeps in. Friends vent about feelings about not being enough after seeing curated feeds, or they lose sleep refreshing for likes. It pulls us away from the real, messy, life-giving connections that build us up, replacing them with shallow dopamine loops. Now, I want to be fair. Social media isn't pure evil. I've had my own good experiences. I've met a lot of cool people online who have really helped me get through a lot. It does have good upsides as well. Other than that, it helps people stay connected. I mean, I feel like that's kind of common sense, in our great big state, it takes probably longer to get to another place in Texas than it does to any of the states surrounding us. That's just how big we are, right? So you could have families all over, and being online really helps with that. It helps talking to them. It also helps build support communities and spreads awareness for issues like mental health, ED, and other issues that teens and adults have. It also gives us creative outlets for expression. Now, some research shows short and mindful use can boost mood or provide a sense of belonging. Critics argue the harms are overstated, maybe correlation, not causation. Depressed kids seek out social media more, or individual responsibility matters more than platform design. But my response is benefits are real, but often incidental, while harms are built in and systemic. Profit models reward engagement over health. Algorithms push divisive or comparative content, but because it keeps us scrolling. Population data shows clear spikes in youth mental illness, coinciding with smartphones and social media adoptions, not explained away by other factors alone. Large reviews, including from the Surgeon General, find consistent links to depression, anxiety, cyberbullying, problematic use, like feeling upset when you're not able to be online. I understand that feeling myself when I'm at work, but I digress. Regulation isn't about banning, right? It's about fixing the design flaws so the good parts can shine without the risk dominating. Age limit, reduce addictive features, and transparency could protect without limiting access. To bring it all together, from Pew's rising concerns among teens, remember that was a 48% saying negative peer effects, Surgeon General warnings, UCSF, and JAMA studies showing direct symptoms increases and heights. I don't know how to pronounce it, that's on me. Evidence of a generational shift. The case is compelling. Social media harms to mental health are widespread, serious, and demand action. Here I stand. Platforms must prioritize human flourishing over endless engagement. We deserve designs that encourage healthy use, not exploitation. True connection happens in real life. Over coffee with friends and study groups, pursuing purpose and community, not in filtered highlights that we see online. They all make us feel empty. Let's advocate for change, talk to friends about mindful habits, support policies for better protections, and reclaim our time for what really matters. Thank you for listening. What's your experience? Has social media lifted you up or has it dragged you down? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation going.